if we go into our early alert dashboard, this is what the landing page looks like at my College of Medicine. This is the UME dashboard. What you're seeing here is our landing page. And this is showing you our students' average wellness score, and it is showing you all of the data. But there are filters, right? I can choose by date range. I can choose by cohort, which in my case is going to be M1 through M4 students. In Curtis's case, it's going to be PGY1 through whatever. And it allows us to filter out depending on what we're interested in looking at. If we look at this average wellness score, this is sort of tracking all of our cohorts over time. So this is M1 through 4 over time. And the way the system works is that weekly, every student gets a text to their phone that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being awful and 10 being awesome, how have your relationships been this week? Or how is your cognitive wellness? How is your financial wellness? So there's 8 dimensions, and it's asking them just one question each week. And so that's where we're collecting the data. And so all of those things come together and create this wellness score. And what you can see at the bottom is our % distressed responses. So what this is showing you is at the peak of things, we have 20% of our respondents who are distressed. I never like to see that. I doubt you would like to see it either. And so what I really want to do as somebody who's following the data is dig down and find out, okay, what exactly is going on here that's causing this increase in distress? So now we're going to narrow things down. We're going to say, okay, I'm interested in the M1 class. So I want to know what's going on with the class of 2026. And I want to know what's going on with them for the first 6 to 8 weeks of medical school, right? So I've got filters here set for date and class, and that's our cohort. And then if I dig down in the data and I say, oh, okay, so now I've got, in this one class, I've got about 10% of my respondents who are really greatly distressed, relatively speaking. It was pretty good there through orientation all the way along till we got to about or around August 22nd. And then we saw this, kind of leap. So anyone want to put in the chat a wild guess as to what y'all think happened around that time? Let's see if I can open the chat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so it could be if it was M4s, it could be ERAS for sure. In the case of M1s, their first major assessments are happening around this time. Now that you say, well, I don't really need data, a dashboard to tell me that, right? I know my students are stressed around the first exam. But some interesting things come up that you may not be expecting. So for example, one of our year 1 students within the first 4 weeks of medical school, his best friend committed suicide. And it had a profound effect not only on him, but on many of his classmates who became distressed. And so I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't sort of following the data as we go. So this really allows us to say in real time what's going on. And if we want to dig down further and say, okay, well, what about this time, or what are the stressors that are happening at this time? So if we go to the next slide, this is page 2. You can see the little 2 circle. Normally, there's a caret that describes what these all are. In this case, it's a data analysis, page 2. And we're looking at the distressed responses during a certain period of time, that first 6 weeks. And we're saying, okay, of the students who are saying they're distressed, what are they saying they're distressed about? So we've got our 8 dimensions of wellness, and we can see here in this case, we've got 2 students who said they were under cognitive distress, 2 under academic, not a surprise, right? There's the first exam. 2 said that they were under physical distress, and a couple who said that they were under either sleep or relational distress. That's really valuable information. Now, in the interest of further disclosure, we have a very small class size. We only have 72 students per class in my medical school, so the N's are small here. Bear that in mind as you're looking at this data. This class has 72 students in it. And then the really interesting thing to me is what I see at the bottom, these comments. Of course, this is all aggregate data. It's anonymous. I have no idea who's writing this, just what cohort they're in. So we had a student respond that their wellness domain that they were distressed in was physical, and they said, I sit all day and that's bad for your health. A plus. Welcome to medical school. Good job. You're absolutely right. Sitting all day is bad for you. Then we see things like relational. I'm having a hard time connecting. I'm having a hard time finding my niche. Well, maybe it's time for us to do a mixer. Maybe students aren't connecting the way that we hope that they would. And then sleep is obviously a big one. I think we all see that. I don't get to sleep till 3 a.m. So maybe we'll do a session, an optional session on sleep hygiene to help them figure out ways to address that issue. So if we say, okay, I'm distressed, now what? So now I know that they're distressed, but how are they getting any help? So this is the referral page. So this is page 4 of the analysis page. And it says, okay, so if I have how many students have said that they were distressed. And then when I say that I'm distressed on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 2 right now. My relationships are completely in the toilet. The system automatically comes back and says, it seems like you might be distressed in this area. Would you like me to send you some resources that will help you to manage these stressors? And if I say yes, the system automatically provides me a referral. Now, the referral is not random. It's something that we at the College of Medicine have purposely chosen in each of the dimensions to push to the students' phones. So if I was financially distressed, it would send resources for our financial aid office and the contact number for the person, and the AAMC website about financial management, those kinds of things. If it was emotional distress, it would go to our counseling and psychological services department. So it just depends on what resources you want to recommend. The referrals go out. And then the system further monitors and says, okay, well, so we sent you these referrals. How many of them actually took us up on it? Many of them actually followed through and used those resources? And then if they didn't utilize the resources, there's an opportunity for them to tell us why. Now, in this case, what you see is that the students who didn't follow up on the referrals, all of them said that it was because they didn't have time. That's a common perception. And that's sort of to be expected. But some of the things that you might not expect are, I don't think it will help, or I went to counseling and psychological services and I had a bad experience there. Right? That's something I want to know, because if that's the case, then we want to engage with our CAPS department to find out, how they're interfacing with our students. And so that sort of just gives you a run through of what the data is. I think probably most people care, so what? What can I do with this information that I have now that I have it, in addition to providing sort of real-time programming? So we can identify those times when students are distressed that we're not expecting, the non-step 1, dedicated study period, or the non-6 weeks in the beginning of medical school, or when their ARAS applications are going in and all of that stuff. And we can get some idea as to what's going on. And then as we get that information, we can deploy our real-time wellness programming to address whatever stressors. So for example, when a student has a best friend commits suicide, maybe we want to have some sessions on suicide and identifying the symptoms and signs of suicide, so that students can really be in tune with each other and sort of report to us if they have concerns about classmates. It also provides us the opportunity to push immediately. So if I put 2 and say that things are not going well, immediately the resources are right there on my phone. So there's no going to a website, there's no finding time to log in, there's none of that stuff. It's all sent to me immediately, right away. And that allows me to target domains of concern and get resources in people's hands if they want them. Now, obviously we can't force them, but at least they have them. And then, as we all know who are not digital natives, we are digital aliens, most of us, our students and our residents really are interacting with each other and the world through texts. So there's nothing foreign or strange about a system that communicates with them in that way. The second layer of the system really is, okay, so you get referrals and the administration gets a notice saying, we referred your students for CAPS, or we referred your students for this. It doesn't say who, it doesn't say what, it just says, hey, this is working, the system is working. But if there is a higher level of distress and the automated system flags it and it goes through a person review, we might get an email to our administrator saying, we think you should really follow up with this student, within the next couple of days. And then we would reach out to that student and say, hey, it seems like you may be struggling right now. Is there anything we can do to help? 9 times out of 10, the student is very happy that someone cared enough to actually be looking at that and then follow up with them. We really haven't had experience where students are like, wow, that's an invasion of my privacy. It's more like, wow, thank you so much that you care about us.